Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome to the United Truth. Okay, so after Sunday's game against Sevilla, we want to look into what Manchester United's biggest problems that we're facing are at the moment. Now, the title's saying at the end of the day, our most important next move. Now, for me, looking at Sunday's game, there's a glaring problem Manchester United have got. And that's before all the fanfare over one player. And I think that's what I want to get into a little bit. So, I will report on Jadon Sancho and, we get the updates and I feed it back out there. But for me, if you've not noticed, I'm excited about a signing, but it's never done in the same sort of obsession that you might see. Watch a lot of great fan channels, but the excitement, the kind of Jadon Sancho's here, Jadon Sancho's coming, he's on a plane type thing. It doesn't really wash with me because for me, I think that this is the direction and this is the problem that's been going on with our fan base. I don't want to be one of those United fans that has kind of belittled any other United fan either. So I know that everyone's got an opinion, but for me, I think that the excitement over Jadon Sancho has been way over the top. In regards to not the fact that he's not a great player, not in regards to that at the end of the day, the fee's not actually as bad as it probably sounds. 120 million euros for an English player from a German club. It's no surprise at all. It's just that there's more gaping holes that I'm surprised that no one's really pointing out. So for me, like the title's saying, our most important next move for me is a glaring next move, and that is our fullback position, and that is on both sides, guys. Let me explain a little bit. So you've got Man City that had, obviously they got Pep Guardiola, came in first season, finished fourth. What did he do? He spent 130 million, I believe, on 3 fullbacks, right? You've got Liverpool. They spent smaller amount of money, but some of their most important players, the young player of the year, their right back and the left back could have quite easily won that as well. I think he might be a little bit too old for it, but just in general, like Robertson and Trent are the yardstick for what fullbacks are. Now, I'm not here saying we need exactly the same as them, because for me, I just think that they're out on their own, along with Alphonso Davies, the best fullbacks in the world. Shout out to Kyle Walker. I think he's very much disrespected as well. I think Kyle Walker's absolutely brilliant as well. I'm sure there's many others, but those are the ones that stand out to me. Now, the reason why fullbacks are so important, fullbacks in today's football have become a lot more important than, say, they used to be. Before it was about defending. Before, a Wan-Bissaka would have been absolutely perfect. For instance, Wan-Bissaka would have been absolutely perfect. He gets his tackles in, he plays it off simple, that's absolutely fine. In today's football, the key of having these fullbacks helps the wingers. Now, winger strikers, whatever, if you want to call them wingers, if you want to call them second strikers, wide strikers, whatever you want to call them, they are imperative. Making those long bursting balls on the outside and delivering quality, or having that little bit more about them to do something special, like a Marcelo, for instance. And this is the problem at Manchester United. I want to go through it now. So I'm going to use the top 2 for in the Premier League at the moment. So you've got Man City. I'm not going to say too much about Mendy, but mainly about Walker, and I'll use Trent and I'll use Robertson as examples. What these guys offer is literally priceless. And I'm going to go into why ours just don't work. So, for instance, if you're Salah and if you're Mane, obviously, it's quite simple. They like to come in on their either the right or the left on Salah's side. Mane goes a little bit more on the outside as well. He's just ridiculously gifted like that. But a lot of the times you want to come inside if you can, and same with Salah. So you need your fullbacks to be giving other options to give the other defence a look to say we're not too sure who to pick up. Now, Manchester United, before Jadon Sancho and before anything else, need to address that. We have got literally, we've played with Luke Shaw on the left. Luke Shaw doesn't make those long bursting runs, But you can see the difference when Luke Shaw's not there for how Marcus Rashford's playing. And this isn't me making an excuse for Marcus Rashford. He's been way off. But if you've got Brandon Williams, who is right-footed, continuously looking to cut inside because he's not comfortable on his left, that means they're occupying the same spaces. On the right-hand side, it's even more laughable. I did a video like pretty much halfway through the season. I said about Wan-Bissaka, I said about Wan-Bissaka to say he's not good enough for a full season. I'm not saying he's not good enough for Manchester United. He is not good enough for a full season at Manchester United. In certain games, he's ineffective and he's becoming, and this is what I worry about, he's becoming the player that other teams target. And they target him disrespectfully in different ways. So you'll have one team that allows him to have the ball and say, what are you going to do with it? You know, you can't really cross very well. You can't really beat a player properly. Like what are you going to do? You know, that you're not going to do a piece of skill where people are like, wow, how's he done that? You're not going to do a cross-field ball to start an attack and switch play. So here's the ball. You'll have another team like Chelsea did in the FA Cup in the semi-final that just pressed him. As soon as he got the ball that was on him, most of the time, he just kicked the ball out or kicked it off a play and he went out for a throw-in. That for Manchester United is poor. We've got to think about the levels Manchester United are on. The level Manchester United are expected to get to. We know that these fullbacks ain't good enough. Now, for me, it's all right in hindsight. It's not like I did a video to say, you know, Ole should have changed it like this. But in hindsight, maybe he should have been looking to do a 3-4-3 at the back, so having 3 at the back instead, and maybe changing it that way so we was maybe less exposed. But that's another conversation for another day. But yeah, so that for me is the problem. If Manchester United to go back up there, the fullback position has become possibly the most important position on the pitch. The fullbacks are so important at Liverpool that they've got a striker in Firmino who's barely scored any goals this season. So this is what I'm kind of like struggling with the fan base and the kind of the obsession with, you know, I think people are targeting Ed Woodward, and it always sounds like I'm defending. No, like Ed Woodward's dithering, and I would want a replacement, but they're targeting. No, just throw the money. I've heard ex-legends just throw them the money, and it's kind of like, well, okay then. So what I want people to come to me and tell me is how much money do they think during this pandemic we're supposed to have, and do they think Jadon Sancho is the most important player that we need? Because he really isn't. Now, Luke Shaw is good enough to do that role as a left side, but because he gets injured so much, the come down to then go to Brandon Williams is massive. So against Sevilla, yes, in hindsight, we might have changed the formation, but it was always going to be the fullbacks. I said it before the game. I knew that our fullbacks were in trouble. I was messaging my mate. I said, we're in trouble fullback-wise. I knew that they'll overload because we saw it against Copenhagen. I saw it against Brandon Williams. He was in deep trouble. I watched the under-23s. I never thought that I was going to see him in the first team so quickly. I didn't even think he was going to make it to the first team. And I don't really want to just destroy the guy because he came in and he's given a noble account of himself in the last few games, and he looks like he could improve. But right now, he's nowhere near ready. If Brandon Williams is ready, then that means Chong should not be on loan at Werder Bremen. That's how deep it is. So for me, with the fullbacks, if you've not got Luke Shaw for the rest of the season, we need to be looking elsewhere. Even if it's a Van Arnold, I think it's around about 29, bit of experience as well, or Ryan Bertrand, players like that can actually know the role, overlapping, getting balls into the box. I don't want to hear that like players can't. What's the point of getting crosses in? I've never heard anything so ridiculous in my life. Like really, like. Is the only person out of the front 3 at Liverpool who's really good in the air is Mane. They get plenty of balls into the box. The ball can go anywhere. It can come to the edge of the box. It can drop anywhere. You've got Bruno Fernandes in there as well. I'm not hearing what Ole said about, we're not really one of those sort of teams that cross the ball in. No, get that out of your head. You have to be a team that can score any type of goal, all types of goals. You know what I mean? You can't all be Man City. You can't all be like how Barcelona used to be, where it's either just Messi on his own or some of the interplay was ridiculous. No, we can't be like that. We do need to get crosses in. Martial is capable with the ball in the air. Even though he hasn't scored yet, I would say on the right-hand side, I'm sure that he would be able to do exactly the same. Name's completely gone out of my head. And Marcus Rashford, exactly the same. Mason Greenwood. Yeah. So on the right-hand side, Mason Greenwood, he said that he's trying to improve his heading. How's he going to improve his heading if we don't get any crosses in? So for me, we have to be kind of looking at the fullback position and building from there rather than the constant barrage of we need Jadon Sancho. We need Jadon Sancho. Without Jadon Sancho, we are nothing. We don't need just Jadon Sancho. We need to start from the fullbacks and then build on. We have got a front three that scored over 60 goals. Jadon Sancho improves that. But if you score 60 goals, how can that be the most important position? You've got fullbacks where let's get their assist stats, and you know that they're going to be some of the worst that you'll ever see. So, yeah, for me, the most important thing, I'm going to say in order, fullbacks, both sides, most important. Next, straight away, I'd look at the midfield and I say we need a defensive midfielder who can get about the pitch, Thomas Partey or whatever. That will then have a great mix of different type of players. Then we move, if we don't get Jadon Sancho, then we get Jack Grealish, one or the other. I wouldn't mind either. And then we're looking at potentially you've spent around about 250 mil. It sounds like a lot, maybe around about 200 mil. Just depends on what you want to go for when it comes to the fullbacks. But it is really important, and especially that right-hand side. I think the former Mason Greenwood, good thing that he's good with both feet, because Wan-Bissaka is offering him nothing out wide, nothing to disguise, you know, when you shimmy and disguise the pass out wide because that person's made a run. There's no relationship. Anyone who's been on Wan-Bissaka's side, especially when Daniel James is there, there is no relationship with Aaron Wan-Bissaka. That's no disrespect to Aaron Wan-Bissaka because he's a very good player. He's Manchester United quality, but he's just not good enough for the whole of the season. So, guys, I want to know what you guys think, and hopefully smash a like. Let me know what you guys think. Who do you think our most important position is? Do you think it is Jadon Sancho, or do you think we need to be looking elsewhere? And I'm on to the next one, guys. See you later.